Molly Sims reflects on her MTV Spring Break days in the early 2000s, a glimpse into a different era of fun, fame, and freedom. Molly Sims, the 51-year-old actress, model, and fashion icon, recently took a walk down memory lane, reflecting on her unforgettable time spent on MTV Spring Break in the early 2000s. For those who grew up watching the network during its prime, these were the days when MTV was not just a music channel, it was a cultural phenomenon that shaped youth culture, fashion, and pop music around the globe. From thrilling concerts and crazy games to unforgettable beach parties, MTV's Spring Break specials were a rite of passage for many young people, and Molly Sims was right in the middle of it all. She appeared on the show multiple times, even taking on the role of host for the Fashionably Loud special in 2001, a landmark event in MTV's programming that featured top musical acts and an exclusive look at the fashion trends of the time. While the world of entertainment has changed drastically over the last 2 decades, Molly's candid reflections on her experience provide a glimpse into a world that was far removed from today's digital age. In a recent conversation with People magazine, Molly reflected on her time on the show, sharing not only her memories of the unforgettable parties, but also how the atmosphere at MTV during those days was vastly different from today. She described how the energy of the crowds, the enthusiasm of the fans, and the thrill of being on live television made the experience unlike anything she could have imagined. "Oh my God, being on MTV was crazy," Molly recalled. "We used to do it down in Cancun and it was nuts at the time. The crowds of people were so into it and MTV was on top of the world. It was so much fun. Carson was great and all the co-hosts, the oldies but goodies, were a blast." For Molly, this era was more than just an opportunity to work as a model and actress. It was about living in the moment and soaking up the thrill of being part of a cultural juggernaut. She spoke fondly about the camaraderie that developed between her and the other co-hosts and celebrities, many of whom she still keeps in touch with today. It was a time when stars were larger than life, and being on MTV felt like being at the center of the pop culture universe. Carson Daly was great, she noted, speaking about the iconic MTV VJ and host of TRL. All the co-hosts were just so fun, the kind of people who were down for anything. It was like a big family, and we were all there to have a great time. But as much as she appreciated the energy and spontaneity of those days, Molly also acknowledged that looking back, it's hard to believe that she and others were able to navigate such a public experience without the constant pressures of social media or the digital surveillance that exists today. Looking back now, I think, oh my God, the live cameras are coming in and you don't even realize it because you're just in the moment. "It's wild," Molly exclaimed. "Back then, there was an authentic sense of freedom," she said, because there were no social media platforms, no constant digital documentation of every moment. The early 2000s were a time when celebrity culture felt more exclusive, when celebrities could live and make mistakes in the public eye without the omnipresent lens of social media capturing their every move. For those of us who lived through it, the idea of being famous before Instagram, Snapchat, or Twitter was an entirely different world. It was a different time, Molly reflected, noting the stark contrast between the past and the present. "We could get away with a lot more," she added. There were no phones, and the documentation wasn't like it is today. Back then, we were probably more connected. Now it feels like everyone is more individual, focused on their phones. This observation struck a chord with many fans, especially those who remember the early 2000s as a simpler time, when we could go out with friends, have fun, and not worry about how every moment would be immortalized online for the world to see. It was a time when we still lived in the moment, sharing stories with our friends in person rather than posting everything for a digital audience. Molly's reflections also touched on the self-awareness that comes with age and experience. "I saw a picture of myself recently and thought, what in the world?" she said with a laugh. The image she was referring to was a flashback to her time in a pink bikini paired with matching pink shorts. An outfit that, in Molly's words, she might have trouble fitting into today, but it was a moment she added with a smile, clearly embracing the nostalgia and the fun of that era, even if she has grown older and wiser since then. If you look at my Instagram, there's a post where I'm in a pink bikini with matching pink shorts. I'm like, if I could only fit into that again. What makes Molly's reflections even more poignant is how they reflect a broader societal shift. The early 2000s marked the height of reality television and celebrity culture. Shows like MTV Spring Break, TRL, and The Real World were cultural touchstones, and the industry was just beginning to understand the power of celebrity and fandom. Today, we live in a time where everyone is their own content creator, where influencers and celebrities have direct access to their audiences through platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. While technology has made it easier to connect with fans, it has also introduced new challenges. Molly's acknowledgement of how social media has impacted personal connections and the way we view celebrities speaks to a larger cultural phenomenon, the rise of the personal brand, and the idea that our worth and value are now often measured by our online presence. In many ways, Molly Sims' reflections on her MTV Spring Break days serve as a reminder of a time when celebrity culture was more enigmatic, when fame felt more like an exclusive club than a constant stream of tweets, likes, and shares. Looking back at those days through the lens of today's digital age, it's easy to see how much the landscape of entertainment and fame has evolved. For Molly, though, the memories remain priceless. As she continues to carve out new paths in her career and personal life, there's no doubt that her time on MTV Spring Break in the early 2000s will always be one of the most cherished and fun chapters of her life. The wild energy, the unforgettable experiences, and the friendships she forged during that time have left an indelible mark on her and perhaps on the entire generation that grew up watching her on their screens.